But World Wrestling Entertainment, better known as the WWE, and its famous owner, Vince McMahon, play a role in the downfall or the collapse of the Pac-12 Conference? I think they just might. Pull up a chair, sit back, relax, and I'll explain why. What is up, college sports fans, Big 12 fans, and fellow members of Mountaineer Nation? This is Couz. Welcome into another edition of Couz's Corner. Pull up that chair and let me serve you up this shot of top-shelf college football content. On tap in today's episode, we are once again talking about the Pac-12 media negotiations, the soap opera that still has not stopped. As the Pac-12 turns, as some people have called it, continues, hopefully one of these days we'll get some news and we can start talking about something else. But for now, this is still a very popular story. And now, if you look at what's going on in the media rights world, I think the WWE could play a role in this. Now, I don't think the WWE is out here trying to take out the Pac-12 or destroy the Pac-12 or anything like that. That's not what I mean. But what I'm saying is the WWE and their role in the media world and their popularity and a deal that was recently made could have an impact on the Pac-12, an indirect impact. And I'm going to explain that. News broke today, actually. I'm recording this video on Monday, April the 3rd, that the WWE has sold a majority stake in the organization to Endeavor. That's right. That Endeavor, the same one that partnered with the Big 12 to help them negotiate their media deal with ESPN and Fox. Endeavor plans to combine the WWE with the UFC, form a separate company that focuses on live sports and entertainment. And you're probably asking yourself, Couz, what in the world would that have to do with college football and the Pac-12? Well, I'm going to explain that. If you recall in my last video about the Pac-12 media negotiations, I mentioned how the NBA, the WWE, and other sports entertainment companies would be renegotiating media deals at or around the same time as the Pac-12, which made it more important for them to get a deal done sooner rather than later. With this announcement about the WWE being taken over by Endeavor, I think it's even more critical. The reason being, because Endeavor is now running the company. You're talking about one of the most respected and one of the largest companies out there when it comes to negotiating these types of deals. And now that they're running the WWE, and it's now official that they are, I would expect that getting that media deal done for the WWE and its partner now, the UFC, is going to be of top priority, which means they'll probably be super aggressive, which means they could jump ahead of the Pac-12. And then the fact that they are combined with the UFC, to another very popular sport, that could potentially raise the value of this package. They will probably take this to market as a package deal. You get UFC and WWE, which means it could be worth more, which means whatever networks get it or streaming services get it, they may have to pay more money, which means there might be less money to go to the Pac-12. So, I mean, there's so many things here that are going on out in the media rights world that this deal, in my opinion, could impact the Pac-12. Now, maybe it won't. Maybe I'm thinking way too much into this. Maybe I'm overthinking it. I do have a tendency to do that. You tell me in the comments, am I overthinking this, or is this something that really could impact the Pac-12? And another way WWE is connected to the Pac-12 situation is through their CEO, Nick Khan, who appeared on the Marchand Ourand Sports Business Podcast last week. And one of the things that was brought up in that conversation was indeed the Pac-12 media deal. Now, let me preface this by telling you, he's not just a wrestling guy, as many of you pro wrestling haters out there might say. He's actually a very smart, very experienced businessman who's helped negotiate a lot of media deals. He helped the SEC negotiate their deal with ESPN. He's helped the WWE negotiate a lot of media deals, which is what made Vince McMahon want to bring him over to his team. He saw how talented he was. And he's also represented a lot of individuals that work for media companies. He's represented Mike Greenberg. He's represented Tom Rinaldi. He's represented Kirk Herbstreit, Colin Cowherd. A lot of people that we see here and listen to on a daily basis in the sports world. He's helped them negotiate contracts and has made them a lot of money. Now, in that podcast that Con was on, he made some very interesting points. I want to show you what those are. I will leave a link to the interview in the description box. The Pac-12 portion starts around the 30-minute mark or so, but I recommend you listen to the entire show because you may learn something. I know I did. When asked about the state of the Pac-12 and their media negotiations, he said right off the bat, they are in a tough spot. And before explaining why they're in a tough spot, he talked about how he admired Brett Yormark for what he was able to do, how he took the hand he was dealt, the situation he was in, and he made the best of it. He saw that the ESPN needed tonnage after they lost the Big Ten to Fox, NBC, and CBS. So what he do? He jumped in line of the Pac-12, went ahead and got a deal with ESPN to take up that tonnage, and it left less room for the Pac-12. Basketball was a big piece of that. Fox was wanting a piece of Big 12 basketball, and they were able to get it through that deal. So he was had very glowing words for Brett Yormark. Now, when he started talking about why the Pac-12 was in a tough spot, one of the things he mentioned was they were caught off guard, which, according to Con, is something you do not have happen in business. You can't get caught off guard. It's not good for business. And as part of that being caught off guard, he talked about, the USC UCLA move to the Big Ten, which they didn't see coming. They made an alliance with their competitor. And he said, you never do that in business. We remember the alliance between the ACC, the Big Ten, the Pac-12. He said, you do not do that. And whether we like it or not, college athletics is a business. When you're in business, he says, you do not form alliances. Full mergers are the only thing that work, right? Everybody has something to lose. Everybody has something to gain. Whereas that alliance, that wasn't the case. Now, when asked specifically what he would do in this situation, Con said he would do a short-term deal, like a 3-year deal if he were the Pac-12, which I actually disagree with, and I'll tell you why. If you sign the 3-year deal, all right, when the 3 years is up, the deal would end, 28, 29, somewhere like that. Well, what are you going to do then? The Big 12 is still going to have 2 or 3 years left on their deal. The Big 10 is still going to have years left on their deal. The SEC will still have years left on their deal. Of course, we all know the ACC will still have all the way to 2036 left on their deal. So there's still nowhere to go for the Pac-12, even with a 3-year deal. So I personally don't. Now, the only thing I could see there that might make sense is by the time you get out of that 3-year deal, maybe streaming has become more popular and there's more demand for live sports on streaming services within that 3-year period. Or maybe the value of live sports programming has went up and you can get more money and just extend the deal you had. That is something I could also see happening. But to me, that would be a risk because you also run the risk of, hey, nothing's changed. There's still not any more demand for your product because we still have all these other conferences that we've done deals with. We're just going to give you the same amount of money. So then what have you gained, right? And he also talked about how even with that short-term deal, you do not want to make it majority streaming. He said if you go too heavy on streaming, you're not giving your schools, your programs in your conference enough exposure. And that will hurt them when they get out of the short-term deal. They would be less valuable going into the next deal. And we've talked ad nauseum about how it affects recruiting, how it affects performance on the fields and on the courts, and it can even impact enrollment. Now, that wasn't something Con talked about, but that's something that's been talked about on my show and many other shows out there. College athletics are the front porch to your college, to your institution. That's how you attract students. At least it's a big way you attract students. And without that, if that goes downhill, if that falls off a cliff, it can hurt your enrollment, which costs you even more money. And at the end of the day, what are colleges and universities there for? To educate people, but to do that, you have to have people to educate. So, Con, just like everybody else out there, says you cannot go too heavy on streaming. We've heard the Arizona president talk about it. We've heard media outlets talk about it. They do not want to go, schools in that conference do not want to go more than 50% streaming. And a lot of these deals that we're hearing rumors about would be just that. And even Nick Khan, a media rights expert who's on the outside looking in at this thing, is saying the exact same thing. And even he is saying that the Pac-12 is in a tough spot. So it's not just us Big 12 people saying it. Nick Khan is saying it, folks. an executive with the WWE and who has made media deals for years, is also saying it. So Pac-12 people can continue to try to act like everything's okay if they want to. I still think they are potentially in trouble. Now, I'm not saying they're going to collapse tomorrow, but they better hurry up. Like I said in my last video about this topic, the clock is ticking on George Kliavkoff and his school presidents to get a deal done. So what do you think, Couz's Corner family? Do you think this WWE Endeavor deal, along with Khan's comments, are bad news for the Pac-12? Or do you disagree and you think they will be just fine and we have nothing to worry about? I want to hear your thoughts in the comment section. Also, if you haven't yet, please subscribe to my channel. I'm trying to get to 5,000. I'm now less than 100 away from 5,000. I'm going to have a special giveaway when we get to 5,000. Also, you can hit that like button for me if you don't care, if you like this video, and please share it out with your friends. Tell them about me as well so that they can watch and subscribe. If you want to support my channel financially, you can do that in several ways. You can check out my merch store by clicking on one of the photos below. There's also a link in the description box. You can check out my links to the Fanatic store. You can check out the links to Blue Ridge Coffee Crafters. Buy you some delicious, all-natural coffee that's made from hand-picked coffee beans. There are several flavors to choose from. Click the link, and when you go to make your purchase, put Couz's, C-O-U-Z', in the comment section. That'll really help out my channel. Also, you can make a one-time donation with the heart thanks button below. You can join my channel, become a member of Couz's Corner, take advantage of the perks that has to offer, including merch discounts if you're at a high enough level, early access to some content, members-only content, and I also do contests that are only available to my members. With all of that being said, I really appreciate you tuning into this video, and until the next one, Q Country Roads. Take me home.